Hey guys, my name is Robert. Whenever I feel ready to tackle a new project about a specific topic, tool, or workflow I want to share about, I start a new document. I dictate everything I can think of about that specific area. I paste links and add half-written thoughts. In the end, I have a long and messy wall of text. A big part of my workflow is using AI to help me give shape and structure to all of this. I can click here and say, I'm planning a video on this topic. Organize my thoughts into a clear structure with headings. Do not remove anything unless it's repetitive. Then add 5 to 8 questions that deepen the main idea from a creativity and productivity angle, and all the way to the bottom, add clear, concise, actionable steps as markdown tasks. This kind of prompt does a few things. It organizes my thoughts on the page and gives me a clear path forward. But it also closes all those open loops that appeared during brainstorming. That is because when I'm dumping ideas in this document, I also include things that I need to test or explore. Let me group all of that initial text into a page. I simply select everything and press Command-G for that. I'll call this raw ideas. Now I will insert what I got back from AI and will close the assistant. I have headings and grouped ideas. I can even use the table of contents on the side to navigate this document. It's still my thinking, but now it's structured enough that I can work with it. Here's some questions that can help me continue developing this, and I got my list of tasks at the bottom. I want to group this under a parent task. I will first copy them to my clipboard. I will jump to my tasks inbox and create something for Project Craft AI Assistant. Now I go inside this task with Command Option right arrow and paste the other tasks here. This is for me to turn this into an active project that I can keep track of. I have been using Craft since the beginning of 2025. It's where I now manage my tasks and projects, and it's also where I prepare the public pages and resources I share with you because it lets me create good-looking documents very quickly. On top of that, it's been great for habit tracking thanks to collections, which are small databases where you can switch views and filter information. The one area where I was holding back a bit when using Craft in the past was knowledge management. A lot of what I do has to do with collecting ideas, keeping track of things that I read, notes that I take, guides that I write for myself covering tools or workflows I have implemented or come up with. A lot of this comes down to organization. I use the Para system to organize my main folders into projects, areas, resources, and archives, but I was still struggling to find specific things I knew I had saved somewhere. That has totally changed with Craft's new space-wide AI assistant. It can see all your documents, tasks, and daily notes, and it basically adds an intelligent layer on top of everything you already have. The possibilities here are huge, and because of that, it can feel quite overwhelming. So in this video, I want to slow things down a bit and show you specific ways I am exploring it in my own workflows and how you can adapt those ideas to your own setup. This video is sponsored by Craft. I have been slowly pulling more of my daily workflow into this app, and at this point, it's become essential for me. So I'm really happy I get to partner with them on this. If you are into note-taking, knowledge management, organization systems, or you are just curious about how to use AI for productivity, this video is for you. Thanks to this opportunity, Craft has offered a 50% discount with the code Robert50. And the crazy part is that this is lifetime, which means the discount keeps applying as long as you stay subscribed. Now, I have already showed you one concrete use case. Before anything else, I want to give you a brief overview of what the new assistant is and how it behaves. Once you have this mental model, then everything else will make more sense. The AI assistant lives in a small chat panel in the bottom right. When you open it, you get some suggested prompts depending on the location you are in the app. If you are in your calendar, for example, it will give you ideas of what it can do there. Now I'm in a document and I can see a different set of options. You can change the model being used. Fast is running with Haiku, and if you need more power, you can go with Max, which is Sonnet. You also got some control over the behavior of the assistant and its suggestions by clicking down here or directly up in the new chat button. As you can see, it already knows which document I'm in, but I am in control of the context. If I type add, I can choose all documents, tasks, my calendar, specific folders, specific documents, Or I can select blocks from the document I'm in, and that will be included in my request. This has actually changed how I save some information. Let me explain to you. With Craft, you can organize with folders and tags, but also with pages inside pages. So once you are inside the document, you can nest a lot of related stuff in one place. Here I have a document with ideas for a series of classes on creative uses of audio for video. Inside, I have created subpages, one for the vision of the series, one for ideas I want to incorporate when teaching, key principles and philosophies of my approach, and more. At the bottom, there's a class already finished. If I jump in there, I can see all of its sections. Now, say I am ready to plan a new class. I stay in this document and open the assistant because all the context I need is already here. I don't need to tag stuff from some other place. I can just ask. Based on everything in this document, the ideas and the class I have already completed, what do you suggest I develop as the next class? Help me start organizing an outline and give me questions that will help me brainstorm. Then the AI assistant will look through everything and give me a very solid starting point. Right now, at the time I'm recording this, the assistant cannot edit your documents directly. The documentation mentions editing is coming soon, but for now, you still have to do a bit of manual structuring. I'm actually okay with that because moving things around myself oftentimes helps me improve the content. So here's what I can do. I insert what I got at the top of this document. I'll give it the title In Progress and turn it all into a subpage. Again, I do this by selecting the blocks and pressing Command G. I could go in there and start editing the content already. I can start adding ideas or use those questions to inspire new directions. But let's say I am hitting a creative block. All of this document is prepared for this in mind. I can open the assistant, start a new conversation, select my in progress class, and maybe also another block with extra ideas. Here I do not need the entire document, so I can remove that. And I can say, I want to complement my class in progress with some of the techniques I mentioned in the other selected block. That way, I don't have to send the entire document again or overload the conversation with unnecessary context. I just give it exactly what it needs. I would say this is a key principle when dealing with AI in general. Be mindful about how you manage your context. There's one more tip I want to give you here on prompting. You can go into Settings, select the assistant, and save prompts that you want to reuse. You can then use this in the assistant panel, either listing the options or by entering a slash. However, if you're like me and for some cases you prefer using prompts that are more detailed or have specific requirements, what you can do is store them as regular documents. The prompt I showed you at the beginning is the perfect example of something I do not want to retype every time. So I'll have a document titled Prompt Structured Thoughts with all my requirements. I can even be much more specific. Then, when I'm in the same situation where I want to give shape to a messy text, I can open the assistant, tag that document with my prompt, and say, follow the instructions in the prompt document to organize my raw thoughts in this page. Understanding how to handle context in this way can save you a lot of time, and since the instructions live in a document and they are not something you are simply improvising in the moment, you can keep improving them as you go. You will not need this for every single case, of course. For simple prompts without lots of requirements, the templates you save in the settings are perfect. Let me show you another quick practical case where you can also use saved prompts. I have a habit tracker document that I open every day. It's a collection I created based on one of Craft's built-in templates. Inside that collection, I have a weekly activity log that I prepare every Sunday. I have set up a very simple template for the week with all the days listed. I insert it with a slash command. Then I select the blocks in my weekly log, open the assistant. Here I only need my selected blocks, and I use a saved prompt that instructs AI to return all of the blocks with the correct dates starting Monday. I then replace my selection with the result, and this is all set up. After that, every day of my week, I can jump in and write a highlight or two, something I accomplished or want to remember from that day. I like this view because I can see everything at a glance, and at the end of my week, I can quickly review and reflect. If you have ever wanted to create dynamic templates with changing values, this is an example in which, with a bit of creativity, AI can help you get a bit closer to that. So far, we have talked about context management and structuring content. Another area where the assistant has been huge for me is in search. Say I'm working on an essay about video storytelling and want to expand on the idea of how tension is built in cinema. With the regular search panel in Craft, I can type tension and right away see a bunch of relevant content. I can also search for cinema and get a lot of stuff. But if I search for tension in cinema as a phrase, I don't really get anything back because those exact words do not appear together. This is an aspect where the AI assistant really shines. I can open the assistant, and for this case, I will be using the specialized function built in here for smart search. Now I can say, I need you to look through my documents and help me find the resources that can be useful when exploring the topic of building tension in cinema. The assistant will scan my space and then give me suggestions right away that I can start using if I want it. Most of my reading notes and highlights live in Readwise, and I use Craft's Readwise integration to pull them into a document so I can quickly refer to that when I need to. AI will usually find a lot of stuff in there, but not only that, this smart search is very useful because it will highlight the content that it finds the most relevant. It will give me some brief comments on how this relates to my request, and if I want, I can easily jump to the source. This is amazing for finding even more connections within the same topic. Now we can take everything that I have been showing you one step further. How about I combine this with the content of an existing project? I got all of these organized thoughts and ideas from the very first example that I showed you in this video. Now I will open the assistant. I select the smart search feature and pay attention. I will tag my Readwise highlights document as context, and I ask, on my active page, you can see the project I'm working on. Find Readwise highlights that are relevant to this, especially around workflows, productivity, and creativity. Make sure you tell me how I can connect each highlight to what I'm talking about. This is a big collection, so it may take a tiny bit longer. But AI will then present me with passages I have already read and suggest to me how they might fit into this piece. The results are usually pretty spot on. Using the assistant this way doesn't feel intrusive, and it's not there to replace your voice. I want to be transparent though. I already use a couple of solid AI tools in my system, and I'm still figuring out the exact role where this Craft assistant fits for me. I love having this extra layer on top of all my documents, catching things I would have missed if I were just relying on folders, tags, and my memory. And that's probably one of the things I find most exciting. It doesn't do the work for me, but it can surface the right pieces at the right time in a way that my other tools just cannot. Now, I have only touched one side of this huge update. I didn't go into the API or the new MCP options in this video, but those open up a whole extra layer of control. They let you connect Craft with other tools, automate parts of your workflow, and even interact with your space from outside the app. From here, the only thing missing is your part, jumping in, exploring, and seeing how it fits your own workflows. Like I said, this is new for me too, but I wanted to use this video as a way to explore some of the possibilities together with you. If you try any of these ideas or come up with completely different ones, let me know. I would love to hear what's working for you. Remember, there's that 50% lifetime discount with the code Robert50. Honestly, the app was already pretty nice, but all of these recently introduced features take the whole thing to a new level, so I do hope you check it out. If you have questions, suggestions, or ideas you would like me to explore, please share them in the comments. I'm keeping an eye there, and I'm happy to consider your feedback for future content. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to keep up with what I'm working on, remember to sign up to my newsletter. I'll see you in the next one.